Hi, I'm Martin here. Today I'm going to show you how to do basically a flush on your engine, and this is for the 4.7 liter motor. So this is obtained to the Dodge and Jeeps, and then a few Mitsubishi owners out there that got the 4.7. Now on that motor, it actually takes specific antifreeze, and it's not the GM orange, and it's not the green stuff. This is orange, but it has what they call HOAT in it, which stands for a hybrid organic acid technology. And it's also an antifreeze you don't want to mix with other antifreezes. Now my particular vehicle here has the green stuff in it, and I just recently found out this is what you're supposed to have in it. So I mean, you can get this from Z-Bart or go to your Chrysler Jeep dealer, and they'll have the right stuff. So I decided, well, I'm going to get rid of the green stuff, and to do that, I mean, we got to do a complete flush. I got to make sure I get all the old stuff out. Now last night I already went ahead and drained the radiator. I pulled the lower radiator hose at the thermostat, which I'm going to show you how to do. And what I'm trying to do is get rid of as much as possible. I put a Prestone flush in it, filled it back up with distilled water, which is what you should always use. Never use tap water. And went out for a drive last night. Then came back. Now I'm going to drain it again at the radiator and at the thermostat. Now what I'm going to do is also show you where the drain plug is on the engine block, just to show you that how much more antifreeze is still in the motor. Just because you drain the radiator and pull that radiator hose doesn't mean you're getting everything out. Because I did that and I barely got a little over a gallon out. And this thing holds, according to owner's manual, 14 quarts. So that's telling me that there's a lot more still stowed away in here. Now I imagine some of it's in the heater core and then the engine block as well. Alright, well, let's get started. Okay, I'm underneath the vehicle here at the bottom of the radiator on the left side, just below the steering gearbox. Unless you got a right-hand drive car. For you Aussies. Okay, I got the drain plug loosened up there. You can see you can pull it completely out and it'll really drain fast. Okay, over here on the left side of the engine, here's the bell housing right here, and that's the plug right there. That is a 9/16. Okay. Oh yeah, see what I'm talking about? That's with the radiator and the lower radiator hose already pulled. Okay, I got the plug removed. Let me tell you, that sucker is in there tight. It is a 9/16, by the way, socket on there. Now, I was just looking through my assortment of fixtures that I got here, my fittings, and I found a drain plug there. It's got the exact same threads, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in there for the next time. Because actually, when I flush this again, this will make this job a whole lot easier. Okay, I got the petcock pretty much in there. I had to take one of my little thin 9/16 wrenches and put a bend into it, put some MAP gas to it, bend it over so I can get in here, properly tighten that. I think I got her in there pretty tight. And as you can see, if I loosen it up, we're still getting little dribbles out of it. There we go. Just like that. Okay, using an 8mm, we're going to remove the bleeder screw right here. Remove the radiator cap. And we're going to fill this with distilled water. Now, if we were just doing a normal, you were changing out your old antifreeze that had the correct antifreeze in it to begin with, I would already do a 50-50 mix, or you could even do a 70-30, 70% antifreeze, 30% water, distilled water. We could do that at this time. Fill it back up, run the motor, you know, warm it up to a proper temperature and make sure everything's filled properly. Since I probably still got some old antifreeze in there that's trapped in the heater core, I'm going to do another flush on this. So I'm going to fill it completely with distilled water, run this for a little while, drain it again, fill it back up again with distilled water before I put the correct antifreeze and water mixture in it. You notice the water and air was coming out of there. Now for right now, I'm just going to put this in. We're going to fire this up. And then we're going to let it run and bleed some more air off of this by loosening this up. You can see the small air bubbles coming out of there. I'm wondering if this foam isn't part of the Prestone flush that I put in it. Could be some residual of that left over. I ran into a small little problem, and I think it's because of the antifreeze. When I was draining it out of the engine block, it was pouring down on the O2 sensor wiring down here. Now this is one of the original ones. In fact, it's the only original one I have left. And I think what's happened is some of the antifreeze got down inside the wiring here and has shorted this baby out, because it's showing on my wideband O2 sensor a very rich condition. So stopped at AutoZone, got me a new, this is a Bosch one for $45, and we'll replace that. Hopefully that fixes that. Since you're doing a flush, you want to do it thoroughly. Remove the two 10mm bolts right here. Remove and lift out your reservoir tank. There's a small clamp here on the hose. Disconnect it, pull it off, and then thoroughly rinse this out. You may want to put some type of chemical in here. I like using Purple Power, and if you can get a brush down in there to clean that out. This piece here removes, so you're able to get a brush in here really well, because it does get very kind of crappy looking in here, and make that part of the flush so you can get you don't get any contaminants in your new system after you've done the flush. Now I want to show you a little something I'm going to do. Down here we got both heater hoses. There's the one, the other one's down here. Really back here, you know, to the heater core. Now that heater core is holding quite a bit of antifreeze still, and it's not going to drain because these hoses come up higher than the engine itself. You know, they're not sitting here practically on top of the valve cover. So to drain out what's inside there, we're going to disconnect one of these hoses. I'm going to just grab that one right there with the clamp on it. Okay, after loosening the hose clamp, I've got these, they're made for removing hoses. They come in a pack of 3 at Harbor Freight. They do a pretty decent job. If I can get down in here. Because a lot of times these hoses, if they've never come off, they come off very hard. And this does a great job of grabbing a hold of it and breaking it loose right there. And then you can grab a hold of it and pull it right off there. Just like that. Now we're going to pull the hose on up here, like so. Now, I just grabbed myself a funnel and got the hose here. Stab that into there. Get yourself some distilled water and just fill it on up. Dump a good half a gallon in there, like that. And what you can see what's happening, it's running through the system and flushing everything out of there. So nothing but distilled water is now in that heater core. No more antifreeze. Alright, now that we got the system thoroughly flushed, we've returned the hoses to where they belong. We've reconnected the hoses, put the plug back in at the bottom of the radiator, and I've also tightened up the petcock that I've installed on the engine block. Now get out your distilled water and the appropriate antifreeze, and you can do a 50-50 mix. Okay, that'll be just fine. But you can go as strong as a 70-30, 70% antifreeze. That actually does raise the boiling point and lowers the freezing point all the way down to a -84. Hopefully you're never in that condition. And it does raise the boiling point up to 276 degrees. Now, keep in mind too, you also got some water left, like we flushed that heater core, still filled with distilled water. So we can go a little strong on the antifreeze, and it'll come down to about a 50-50 mix, okay? So again, half a gallon of water, and half a gallon of the antifreeze. Mix them in together in the same container, and then it's already done for you. Okay, I've got it all mixed up right here. I got the bleeder screw here removed. As you can see, the antifreeze just started coming out. Alright, we got the antifreeze all put back in. Got as much air as I can bled out of that. I let it sit there and run for quite some time with the plug removed. And you can see air bubbles, coming out of it. And when I got pretty much a good stream going, and after a few minutes you get very minimal air bubbles anymore, go ahead and put the plug back in it. I would recommend overfilling the reservoir tank and keeping an eye on it for the next few days. And it will, after the engine cools, it's going to draw antifreeze out of here back into your radiator to fill the system. But keep an eye on it. And by the way, that wasn't bad O2 sensor. Apparently that moisture that did get on there from the antifreeze ruined that one. It did have over 100,000 miles on it, and like I said, it was the last of the 4 that I had not replaced, so it was time anyway. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.